From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN Noon News.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us on your MTN Statewide News this Tuesday. I'm Jeanelle Slade. Well, 3 more COVID-19 related deaths and more than 1,100 new cases reported across Montana today. The Department of Public Health and Human Services is working with county health departments right now to upgrade the reporting process of COVID cases. Officials say that is why today's new case numbers are so high. Well, a pandemic staffing shortage forces another Bitterroot school district to shift to a remote learning model. Starting today, all Stevensville students and staff will be off campus as the district uses a 2-week reset to cope with active cases and quarantine. Stevensville had a limited shutdown in early October for a few days, but this time students and staff will be switched over to distance learning until further notice or November 18th. Superintendent Bob Moore says the district had 5 active cases last week, but now the associated contact tracing and quarantines has gone beyond the capacity to provide enough teachers and staff.
And the entire classified department that I had to go home on quarantine, and so it really turned into just a lack of adults to cover. You know, we may quarantine a group of students here, a group of students there, and we're able to work flexibly with both in-person and distance learning and moving students back and forth. But when we lose that many adults, it was just impossible to just keep the doors open.
Moore says the district would really like to hear from anyone with experience teaching or in other school positions that could help out. Corvallis Primary School reopened today after more than 2 weeks of remote learning. Well, an outbreak in Kalispell has officials concerned. 40 residents of a nursing home have tested positive for the virus. 4 of them are in the hospital and the others are being isolated. Brendan House officials say they are doing everything they can to keep remaining residents safe. The doors have been closed to outside visitors since March, and staff and those who live there have been tested regularly for the last 10 weeks. The home's operators say they are constantly communicating with residents' families as they weather this outbreak. Well, the drug company Pfizer will now ask the FDA for emergency use authorization for its trial coronavirus vaccine. Now, Pfizer announced yesterday it is 90% effective. FDA scientific advisors would then discuss the vaccine before the agency makes a decision on approval. If approved, the first people to get vaccinated would undergo extra safety tracking. It's now time to check in on the weather scene with meteorologist Ed McIntosh. And what's it like out there today? I just think I came to work and didn't even pay attention.
Yeah, because things are changing, Jeanelle. Yes. They are. In fact, across the state, western Montana is starting to see more and more snow. Let's take a look at some of the pictures from around the state. Logan Pass, you can see a lot of fresh snow and poor visibility there. Same thing as we look around Essex near Glacier National Park. The visibility's been down and the roads are getting very slick there thanks to a lot of wind. 9 Mile, that's just a little out of Missoula. You can see wet roadways there. And then as we get closer to Idaho, Lookout Pass, also with very poor visibility. I got to add one more in here too, because in case we think that maybe the nice weather is gone, looks like these pups don't think so quite yet. We'll take a closer look at the forecast coming up in a few minutes. Thanks for that viewer photo.
That's awesome. I hope they're safe up there. Well, a 34-year-old man shot and killed by police has some Missoula community members asking for answers. Missoula police went to a home to investigate a domestic disturbance over the weekend. When they arrived, the officer says Jesse Brown attacked him while holding a knife. Police say they told Brown to drop the knife multiple times, and when he didn't, officers tased him. Well, even after being tased, he again went after an officer who then shot him. Brown died at the scene. Now, the incident has sparked outrage in the Missoula community. Dozens gathered in front of City Hall demanding transparency from the police department. Several protesters said they don't believe enough details on the shooting have been released. Others called for complete police reform.
I believe we're all just concerned because it's our worst case nightmare of what could happen. You call, you're expecting some sort of protection or help or service, and to potentially have a loved one or a community member, just a human being, killed if it was potentially unnecessary. And I think we all just want to know a little bit more information about the incident.
And Missoula police have a press conference scheduled for Thursday. Well, for many in Montana, hunting is a key piece of how they prepare to feed their families in the winter. MTN's Lauren Heiser spoke with a Laurel family whose hunting plans got thrown an unexpected curveball.
For the past 15 years, Melissa Camp and her husband have hunted to fill their freezer and feed their family during the winter. And this year was no exception. Melissa even drew a tag that they'd been wanting for a long time, a 411 bull tag. Having never shot an elk, Melissa, with help from her husband, started planning and preparing right away. But suddenly a wrench was thrown in their plans. In July, Camp began feeling ill. She went to a walk-in clinic for blood work for what she assumed was just a vitamin deficiency.
At 9:30 the next morning, July 8th, an oncologist called me at work and informed me that I had leukemia.
What was the first thing that entered your mind in that moment?
The very first thing was, I hope my family's okay. I have the strongest, most amazing family. They handled it like champs.
Within 2 hours, she was hospitalized. She spent the next 6 weeks in a cancer treatment center in Billings. But she wasn't letting cancer get in the way of her goal. So to keep up her strength, she walked.
We had a goal of 2 miles a day, and we figured out that it took 9 laps on the 4th floor of the cancer unit to come up with a mile. So 18 laps a day was our goal.
With chemo 5 days a week, their plans still had to change. Community members came forward offering their private land and other resources to help. After days of searching and hours in the cold, Melissa spotted and shot her first bull elk.
So what would you say to either the kids or the young adults or the adults who are struggling for whatever reason and don't feel like they're fast enough or they're strong enough to be out there?
If you have the desire to get it done, you can get it done, and surround yourself with people that want that goal for you as much as you do.
In Missoula, Lauren Heiser, MTN News.
Thanks, Lauren. Well, Glacier, Yellowstone, and all of the national parks across the U.S. are saluting our veterans. The Department of Interior says starting today, entrance fees for national parks will be permanently waived for veterans and Gold Star families. They will no longer have to pay to visit a national park. The department already waives fees for active duty military. Still ahead on your new news, learn how one Montanan uses the power of social media to teach us about our feline friends. And her message is gaining national attention. But first, meteorologist Ed McIntosh is in next with your statewide weather forecast. Don't go away.